Hi, I'm Đura the Time Traveler, and this is my lifestyle time travel blog. February is a fashion month. Let's see how Pharaoh couture looked like. So, we are talking about ancient Egypt. And Pharaoh was never actually the official title of an Egyptian ruler. The first Egyptian ruler was Narmer, and the last one was Caesarion, the son of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. Caesarion was killed by Octavian August, and then Egypt became a part of the Roman Empire. Pharaoh was a very busy man and he had a lot of responsibilities. For example, collecting taxes, he owned the country of Egypt, everything in Egypt. He enacted laws, he defended Egypt from the enemies, and the most important thing was that he maintained Ma, or cosmic order and balance. And he did that by visiting the temple every day and praying to the gods, because he was mediator between gods and people. And he was not only the mediator, he was actually the descendant of gods. And at the same time, Pharaoh was personification of Osiris and Horus. He was actually their descendant. He was chosen by God. So he was godlike. Well, you see, Osiris was the first king of Egypt and he was killed by his jealous brother Set. Set then butchered Osiris' body and he threw it around Egypt. Then Isis collected parts of his body, resurrected him, and they had a son, Horus. Osiris couldn't stay with the living, so he became the god of the underworld. After that, there was a battle between Set and Horus, the son of Osiris. Horus won and became the ruler of Egypt. So, living pharaoh is Horus, and dead pharaoh is Osiris. Now, when we've established who is Pharaoh, let's talk about fashion. What did pharaohs wear? Well, you see, because they were godlike, they couldn't wear commoners' clothes, so their clothes was special. And because king had a lot of duties, he wore a lot of crowns. And he had different crown for every occasion. Narmer was the first ruler of Egypt and he was the one who unified Upper and Lower Egypt. So Upper and Lower Egypt had different crowns. Desert is a red crown of Lower Egypt, and that word is also used for red desert. And Kemret is black land, black fertile land in the Nile Valley. The ruler of Lower Egypt wears this crown, and it was probably made from some plant fibers woven like a basket, and it was probably passed on from one ruler to another. Contrary to red crown, there's white crown, and its name was Hedge. It was worn by the ruler of the Upper Egypt, and the symbol of this crown was sometimes used for Nehbet, vulture goddess, the protector of the Upper Egypt. Like the previous one, it was also probably woven like a basket from plant fibers and passed on from one ruler to another. And unification of Egypt should be celebrated with another crown. And they did that by unifying two crowns, crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. So now we have a double crown. The first one to wear it was the ruler Dan, that was the fourth ruler of the first dynasty. And this crown sometimes has cobra and a vulture in front of it, so here in this frontal area, because that also represents two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, and their protectors. King Dan was actually a trendsetter, so he was the first one to wear cleft. And that is a headcloth worn by nobility. So it's usually white and it falls down the back of the person wearing it. So Nemes, that is that headpiece that you picture a pharaoh wearing it, because that's the one depicted on the mask of Tutankhamun. You know, when you go online or Amazon or something and you want to order an Egyptian costume for Halloween, yes, that's what you're getting. You're getting budget version of Nemes. So it covered the entire head from the forehead to the end of the neck. And it was tied on the back like a ponytail, but like a low ponytail, not the high one, you know. It had two flops and it went behind the ears and down to the shoulders. Caprash would be perfect example of Y2K fashion. It was blue war crown. But it wasn't used only when pharaohs went to war, it was also used for some rituals. And it was preferred by the kings of the new kingdom. And why do I say it's perfect for Y2K fashion? That's because it was blue, but it was bedazzled, with hundreds of sequins, rings or discs. So it reflected light in a beautiful way. It was made from leather or stiffened cloth, and sometimes it could have had cobra or ureus in the front. Represents cobra ready to attack, the goddess Wadjet, the protector of Lower Egypt, and after the unification, the protector of the whole Egypt. It could be worn on a crown or by herself on a diadem, but only royals could wear them. And in the beginning, the pharaoh was the only one who could wear it, but by the 6th dynasty, royal women were also allowed to wear ureus.
Commercial break.
Hey,
Hey,
I need a new pharaoh's crown. Pharaoh's crown now.
sorry, didn't catch that.
CROWN.
Oh, okay, got it.
Tak, stawisz.
Napravi krunu. Neki...
Timeline fashion.
So now we've covered the crowns, but what was Pharaoh wearing below the neck? On the upper part of his body, usually nothing. Sometimes tunics were worn from the new kingdom. They could have been long, like dresses, or short, like an actual tunic, and they were made from sheer linen, and they were also pleated. And on the lower part of their body, they wore shendit. That is a form of a loincloth or a kilt, a type of a skirt. And most men in Egypt wore these skirts. But the royal ones were special. At first they covered the thighs, and later on they were a bit longer below the knee. And the king's skirt was held in place by a belt. And hanging from this belt was a lion's tail. That was representation of power of the king. And from the new kingdom, sometimes an overskirt could be worn, the one from linen, pleated sheer linen. And king wore a special type of a robe, Heb-Sed robe. The king used Heb-Sed festival to renew his power, something like to recharge. It was done after the first 30 years of his reign, and after that every 3 years. And during this festival he changes crowns. For a bit he's wearing the red crown, and the next moment he's wearing the white crown. But the white tunic that he wears during this festival is supposed to give him the power of regeneration. And before Amenhotep III, these robes were short and they were covering arms, upper body and up to the thighs. And they were always white. Now let's move to footwear. Even though Egyptians were usually depicted barefoot, they actually wore sandals. And ever since the Narmer's time, there was an official role of sandal bearer. Those sandals were usually made from leather, sometimes from reed, but the luxurious ones for the royalty were made from leather. And now let's accessorize. As every member of the upper class, kings wore intricate jewelry. Necklaces, bracelets from gold, carnelian stone, turquoise or lapis lazuli, you name it, they wore it. And the bigger the better. And probably the most striking piece of jewelry was vase, a broad collar worn around the shoulders, and it was made from tubular and teardrop beads of gold and all the best jewels. In their hands, kings wore crook and a flail. Heka, or shepherd's crook, was the symbol of kingship, and the oldest one dates back from the pre-dynastic period, and it was found in a tomb in the city of Abydos. And flail was the symbol of fertility, as it was an agricultural tool used for thrashing wheat, to separate grain from its husk. These two accessories were used together ever since the Second Dynasty. And best examples of crook and flail come from Tutankhamun's tomb. They were made from bronze and covered with blue glass and gold. And the moving part of the flail was made from gilded wooden beads and carnelian. And to top it off, we have facial hair. Men in ancient Egypt shaved their beard, but only the king could wear false beard. It had a string to tie it behind the head, and it was the representation of Osiris. As you've seen, ancient Egyptian designers were really talented, especially the jewelers. Thank you for watching, and you know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, send to all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!